one quick thing, what I've noticed, like I've been looking into, you brought up the evangelical thing, and I've been reading reports that Gen Z is on record to be the most atheistic generation due to the fact that we have like Library of Alexandria within our pocket.
Right.
And I'm wondering as time progresses, you know, this is like a hopeful, maybe naive, but truly optimistic view. I think the Republican Party is losing its grip, because I feel like once the older voters, like the baby boomers, start to pass on, they're really going to lose their base. Because if you looked at the youth turnout for the midterms,
yep,
younger people voted blue all the way down. I voted for Jason Martin. I hate our two senators. Marsha Blackburn, she reminds me of just some like Facebook radicalized mom in the suburbs.
Yeah.
She called Biden's IRA socialism. But then you have Governor Bill Lee with a big fucking fat fake check of like all the money that the Biden gave us.
Right.
And people were calling him out. He voted against it. You know, and Bill Haggerty was just some radio host.
Well, I'll tell you, I think in the main, I tend to agree with you. And when I'm looking for optimism, that's exactly what I think about. And if you look at, and I think that's what the Republican Party understands too, because that is why, I mean, what we are witnessing now is minoritarian rule, right? Where you have their two last presidents have been elected with less than popular, losing the popular vote. The Senate, Republicans in the Senate are representative of something like 20 to 30 to 40 million less people than the Democrats are relative to the last, you know, depending on which election you look at. And you have a Supreme Court, which is radically changing the country and the laws. And the majority of those people, the majority of the majority was appointed by by presidents who also, you know, again, didn't win the popular vote, and arguably one of those seats was stolen. So I think your optimism about demographics is correct, but I'm not sure that necessarily translates into the type of political, you know, reform that we need. But I hope, you know, like if you're indicative of it, I'm happy about it. And I appreciate the call. Do you find, like, when you talk about this stuff with people around you, I don't know, you're 19 years old, when you talk about with your friends, like, do you just try and avoid talking about it, or, you know, well, how receptive are people?
I try to talk to people about it. And, you know, I mean, the Southern hospitality thing is like truly real. I mean, we're all nice people down here, but I've noticed that, like, when I talk to like some of my family about it, they truly do vote on the culture. You know, they ain't worried about the debt ceiling and the debt hostage.
Right.
They ain't worried about that. You know, we vote on culture. When I try to talk to them about police in general, they think, oh, it's May just like a bad cop. I'm like, no, police protect their own. That's the thin blue line. Police unions have a history of doing that. If you look at the history of policing in this country with the 1880s, it was largely based on economic segregation along with racial, and how they were once used to break up labor strikes, like Battle of Blair Mountain, the Ludlow Massacre. Those are two great examples about how cops and the Pinkertons would go into unions and just destroy them. You know, Battle of Blair Mountain in West Virginia, you had Harding sending out the army to drop bombs on the miners.
Yep.
You know,
early use of that technology.
And Michael Brooks, during the midterms, I actually watched a lot of his videos, like the Meghan McCain stuff, to like ease my stress. But he brought up a great point about I forget what video it was, but he's like, when you live in the States, you live in a context. You know, I'll never forget, like when I went up to where my family's from. It's up north. You know, we're largely German. And my dad, relative goes, how do you feel about being German? And I was like, oh, I mean, it's cool. But then you listen to Cornel West, who talks about how in the States you're just either white or black. You lose those cultural signifiers of your own ethnic blocks. And that kind of put it wholly into a perspective that, like, if I went out of the States, I wouldn't be white. I'd just be American. But you come back over here, you're white. And black and white was started in the early 1600s on the labor history, basically.
Well, dude, if you need a job and you're ever in the neighborhood, make sure you let us know. You're making people very hopeful.
But I will give the listeners this. I do think that there's more people of us, just normal, decent people. We saw it with the midterms and the trans issues. Not a lot of people cared. Three Arrows did a great video about it, about the whole Matt Walsh thing. Yeah. Also, and like Shapiro's in fucking Nashville, so I got to deal with that shit.
Sometimes in Nashville, I think. I don't know how often he's there.
And Bo put a great tinge on it too. He did a live stream of questioning, and someone asked, like, how do you, like, what's going to come after this? Like, he doesn't think there's going to be a civil war, and I don't really think there will be either. I mean, not in the context of the 1860s, but I do think as time progresses, and we will progress, we have no other choice. You know, if you're conservative in the 80s, you wouldn't be cool with gay marriage. Tough shit, you fucking lost. Deal with it. Gay people can get married, you know. But I feel as time does progress, we will see a massive change. And I know with the whole Supreme Court stuff, like, people are going to get fucking tired of it. Yeah. You know, in Clarence Thomas's dissension or whatever, he's like, yeah, we're going after Hartford v. Connecticut. That is one thing that affects half the population of this country. People need to understand that guarantees you a right to contraceptives. Yep. Like, I mean, we have 6 radical evangelicals on the court. Like, I believe Amy Coney Barrett, back in the mid-2000s with the ACA, was the Medicare coverage on the cover contraceptives, and she protested against that. Yep. If I'm not mistaken.
She put an ad in the paper. She signed an ad in the paper just a couple of years ago against abortion rights. I mean, I mean, some are not necessarily evangelical. They're fundamentalist Catholics as well. Absolutely. Well, listen, do you have a Twitter handle? Do you have a Twitter handle? You want people to follow you? Because I have a feeling they will.
I don't really do like Twitter for like political stuff, but I'd rather not, to be honest.
All right. Yeah, probably. Fair enough.
I mean, probably no smart.
No offense, but
no, totally
none taken.
I get it. All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate the phone call. Don't be a stranger.
Yes, sir. You take care. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes. Jay Tingle tells me it was Griswold v. Connecticut. I don't know what he said. Hartig, but it's Griswold. Oh yeah. Casey, you should join the Discord at the very least. Get into our Discord. People want to hear from you.